Hi, my name is Brianna Vargas, and this is my Group Advanced Concepts Presentation 3 for Biochemistry 1. Please excuse my voice, as I mentioned many times and in my introductions. I do Portuguese theater, and I always have the tendency to lose my voice, so just excuse my voice and please enjoy the presentation. Thank you. To start with this presentation, I thought it was very important to include background information that was also included in our prompt discussion, and therefore I'm going to talk more about hemoglobin right now quickly. Hemoglobin is a protein which binds oxygen in the lungs and releases it in the capillaries. Interestingly, your body controls this intake and drop-off of oxygen by having different pHs at the two locations. Here's a photo of hemoglobin, and hemoglobin, also known as HB, and HGB is a protein that's contained within our red blood cells, RBCs, that carries oxygen to and carbon dioxide away from the rest of the cells in our body. Without the right amount of hemoglobin in our red blood cells, our other cells can't function at their optimal level. As mentioned in the previous image, there are different types of hemoglobins, and here is a chart indicating the different types, the levels at which they are usually maintained, and the indications. As I mentioned, all the hemoglobin levels throughout our body and the cells need to be maintained in order to function and for us to live healthy, normal lives. With low hemoglobin levels, there are many different illnesses and diseases that are associated with it. Those include anemia, many different types of anemia, as well as several causes: kidney disease, liver disease, lead poisoning, and numerous cancers, including blood disorders and blood cancers. For elevated hemoglobin levels, there are many associated public health and self-health issues, including dehydration, heart failure. Living at a high altitude can cause the hemoglobin levels to increase, smoking as well, chronic lung disease, liver, kidney cancer, as well as other types of illnesses. When we breathe in oxygen, the red blood cells transport it around to every cell in the body. This is a critical process that is needed. Hemoglobin is composed of 4 polypeptide chains, which in adults consist of 2 alpha globin chains and 2 beta globin chains. Each polypeptide has a heme prosthetic group attached, where each heme can bind 1 oxygen molecule. So there are 4 heme groups per hemoglobin molecule that together bind 4 oxygen molecules. A drop of blood contains millions of red blood cells. As the hemoglobins are specialized cells with the flattened disc style, it gives them a much greater surface area with which to exchange oxygen and carbon dioxide in the lungs, as well as other body cells and other organs. Red blood cells are able to carry oxygen so efficiently because of hemoglobin. In fact, it is the hemoglobin that is responsible for the color of the red blood cell. Hemoglobin contains the groups that allow for blood to pass through the lungs. The hemoglobin picks up oxygen because of the increased oxygen pressure in the capillaries of the lungs, and can then release this oxygen to body cells where the oxygen pressure in the tissues is lower. In addition, the red blood cells can pick up the waste product, carbon dioxide, and some of which is carried by hemoglobin, while the rest is dissolved in the plasma. The high carbon dioxide levels in the tissues lower the pH and the binding of hemoglobin to carbon dioxide, which causes a conformation change that facilitates the release of oxygen. The carbon dioxide is then released once the red blood cells reach the lungs. I thank you for your time and hope you enjoyed my presentation. I'd like to give more feedback on my classmates' experiences with hemoglobin. If anyone has any medical conditions that has impacted their hemoglobin, their blood levels. I, on a personal level, have thyroid disease. I'm not sure if I had mentioned that on my introduction to the class, but I have thyroid disease since I was very young, and it was passed down maternally from my mother. My sister also has it, and I have hypothyroidism as well as iron deficient anemia, and so this hits home with the hemoglobin, and I know my symptoms, I know how I feel sometimes. I'm always cold, but my levels, my thyroid levels as well as my iron have been controlled pretty well throughout the course of my life now, but there's flare-ups, and I just like to get people's feedback on if they have any issues as well, any similarities, and how they have been coping with that, as well as other similar issues. Thank you.